I've finished walking Jerusalem. I've got 2 days left. And then I'm going to go to Tel Aviv and stay the night and make sure I get my flight back to England. I don't want any chance. I want to be as close to that airport as I can if I have to sleep in the airport. And so I'm saying this to him. This is on the 12th day. I finished Jerusalem, and I had checked out down Ben Yehuda Street coming back, had checked out all the different tours, and I wanted to go to Galilee. And so the tours for one-day tours to Galilee was way too high, and I just thought, I'll just walk to Bethany and see Lazarus' tomb and come back, and tomorrow morning I'll go to Tel Aviv and spend some time in Tel Aviv before my flight the next day and leave it alone. Well, that was my thought. Well, so I walk in there. There's a man standing at the counter. He's American. He speaks Southern English. And he's ordering a car rental. And I looked up at him as the man is making a call for him. And I said, you're American. You're from the South. And he looks at me and he says, yeah, if you'd call Nashville the South. And I said, oh, that's South for me because I'm from Portland, Oregon. He says, oh, yeah, you're a Northerner, all right. I said, what are you doing here? He says, well, I'm here for business a few days. And he says, what are you doing? I said, well, I just finished my business, and I'm getting a room, and I'm getting ready to, hopefully, if I can get a room. And the man says, you can have a room. And thank you. I says, for 13 days? He says, yes, I'll give it to you. Thank you, Lord. It was an Arab hotel. And so I says, I'm just going to park my backpack and get some postcards that I've written up, haven't sent yet. I want to finish sending them and go to the post office. Then I'm going to walk down to Bethany and look around. I want to be around Lazarus' tomb and a little time down there. And he looks at me and he says, you're going to walk? I says, yeah. He says, strange. And he says, he says, from here, that could be between 4 and 6 miles through the West Bank. He says, it's dangerous walking through the West Bank. He said, I'm driving to Egypt today. And he says, I'm getting my car rental. He says, if you'll be patient, I'll drop you off in Bethany. And he says, for that matter, he says, I'm going all the way to Egypt. I'm coming back tonight. If you want to go to Egypt, you can go to Egypt with me. And I look at him and thought, well, I've never been to Egypt. I've finished my obedience in Jerusalem. I'm done. Yeah, I said, I'd like to go to Egypt. Are you sure you're coming back tonight? He says, oh, yes. So I said, well, okay. Yeah, I'd like to go. And how long till you leave? He says, well, as soon as I get my car here, it'll be probably 40, 45 minutes. I'm going to take my bag to my room and set up my room, and I'll be ready to go. I said, okay, I'm going to put my bag in and get my room, and I'll run down and post some postcards, and I'll come back. I should be able to do all that. And he says, fine. So he finishes his business, heads off toward his room, and I get my room and drop my bag off, grab my postcards, head for the post office, get my stamps, and post my cards that I didn't get posted out of London. And I'm heading back, and the Lord speaks to me, and he says, you didn't ask me. And my heart just went, boom. I said, Lord, what do you mean? He said, you have been asking me 12 days straight about every street, every thought you have. You agreed to go with that man, and you don't even know him, all the way to Egypt. You didn't ask me. And I started crying, walking down the Damascus Road, asking the Lord to forgive me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And so anyhow, well, then I meet this man, and I get my postcards posted, and I'm repenting. And as I'm about, probably 200 feet from the hotel entrance, this peace just comes over me. And I start drying my tears, and I said, Lord, what does this peace mean? It means you forgave me, I know. But does it mean I could go to Egypt with him? I'd still like to go to Egypt with him. And the peace of God just floods me. And I said, okay, that means I can go to Egypt with this man. And not just Bethany. And so I go up the steps to go to the hotel. I'm only on the third step up to the Jerusalem hotel. A little red car comes pulling up. Beep, beep. I turn around, look back. The man gets out. He comes up to me on the first step. He looks up at me. Now, I put a fleece before the Lord before this, when I felt he forgave me. I got to remember that. That's significant, too. I said, Father in heaven, I believe by the peace that you're giving me now, it's okay to go to Egypt with this man, but I don't know who he is. I've never met him before. I don't have any idea. He said he just flew in from Turkey, finished his business in Turkey. That's all I know. But I know he's American. But in the first seconds that I meet him again, I want this to be a fleece before you. If you don't want me to go with him, let some little thing, I don't want to ruin his day. He was kind enough to offer to take me all the way to Egypt. I don't want to ruin his day, but let some little thing come out of his mouth that didn't go right. That's all, just a little negative, and I will take that as a signal I'm not to go, and I'll excuse myself. So I had made that fleece as I'm approaching the steps. I go up on the steps, beep, beep, here he comes. First step down below me. He looks up at me, puts out his hand, and he says, well, by the way, I'm Ron Wyatt. And I said, well, I'm Henry Gruver. And he says, Henry, he said, you said you're from Oregon. What city is that? I says, well, it's Portland, Oregon. Oh, he says, yeah, I know about Portland, Oregon. I hear a lot about it. He says, but you still want to go? Everything went great. I got the car before I expected. I'll be ready in 5 minutes if you want to go. And I said, I'd love to. He smiles the sweetest smile with his blue eyes. He looks me right in the eye. And he says, Henry, do you believe God speaks to people? I said, absolutely. I am a Christian. He said, Henry, I'm a Christian too.